A black beggar broke the deal and surprised the millionaire who hired her as fiancée. Gabriel Moro was a storm of control and power in the heart of Paris, CEO of one of the biggest companies in the city. He was used to having everything, every meeting, every decision, every moment in his iron grip. Except this time, his world was cracking. His grandmother, a ruthless matriarch with eyes like cold diamonds, demanded a fiancé for the upcoming family gathering. No excuses, no delays, just a woman to parade at the table. The problem? Gabriel had no interest in a marriage of convenience that would chain him to a life scripted by old money and dusty traditions. So, in desperation, he found Camille Dubis, a waitress with weathered hands and eyes full of silent storms. She was nothing like the polished society girls he usually dealt with. She was raw, real, and broke no strings, no feelings, a transaction. But Paris had other plans, turning their arrangement inside out. Beneath its rain-slicked streets and rusty cafe chairs. From the very first moment she agreed, Gabriel watched her tightly. Her worn leather jacket, the tired slump that whispered of long shifts, her cough that rattled harshly during the cold dawns. Strangely, beneath the blur of neon and the chatter of the city, tension sparked. Camille's laugh was like cracking glass, fragile but defiant. His chest tightened watching it, an ache he couldn't name. Stories swirled around them like cigarette smoke, whispers of a beggar girl out of nowhere, stealing the gaze of a millionaire and refusing to be tamed. Gabriel's world, so pristine and ordered, began to crumble when she strolled confidently into the family's historic mansion, her unpolished charm sending ripples of gasps through marble halls. Everything changed on that hectic afternoon in Montmartre. Amid the crowd of buzzing tour, fear gripped his throat like ice. Here was the girl he barely knew, yet suddenly couldn't imagine losing. Heart pounding, breath hitching, he watched machines beep and doctors work. But the shock wasn't over. Late that night, between flickers of exhaustion and the cold white hospital light, Gabriel uncovered a secret. A mysterious link between Camille's illness and a shadow in his grandmother's past. A story of betrayal and pain, buried deep and dangerous. That old diamond-eyed woman who demanded so much might be tangled in the fate that now held Camille's fragile life and Gabriel's heart in its vicious grip. Standing by the bland hospital corridor, Gabriel felt the crushing weight of his world shifting beneath him. His carefully controlled life, the empire built with cold precision, now trembled at the edge of an abyss. To choose his heart, or to obey the iron rules of family and power, his breath caught. The future blurred. The line between duty and desire vanished in. And everything was about to change. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that. Helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Gabriel stood in the sterile silence of the hospital corridor, his heart racing, fists clenched at his sides. The cold bite of fear wrapped around him as he looked at Camille's pale face. Machines beeped, their artificial rhythm a dark reminder of how fragile life could be. Every breath felt like an he was consumed with thoughts of what he had to do. Before he could figure it all out, a doctor stepped out of the room, his face tense, eyes serious. Gabriel's stomach twisted. "Mr. Morrow?" The doctor's voice broke through the haze. "Can we speak?" Gabriel nodded, dread knotting tighter in his chest, and followed him to a quiet corner. "What's wrong?" he urged, desperation creeping into his tone. "Camille's condition is serious," the doctor said carefully. "She has a rare autoimmune disorder. We need to run tests to pinpoint the exact issue. But there's more!" Gabriel felt his heart drop. "What more?" "The treatment is costly. The medications, they're not easy to acquire." The doctor paused, looking concerned. "I'm afraid it might be harder for her to get the care she needs without, well, financial support." The weight of those words settled heavily on Gabriel. Financial support? He was a millionaire, for heaven's sake. But the truth hit with brutal force. Money didn't fix everything. $1 million couldn't make Camille well again. "But," he stammered, searching for hope, "what can I do? Please, just tell me." "Speak to her family. They might know more about her medical history. It could help." The doctor's eyes softened. If she has a family, a partner, it might make a world of difference. But as Gabriel turned to leave, a nurse passed by, her expression flickering in a way that caught his eye. He approached her, desperation still pulsing in his veins. "Do you know if she's ever mentioned family? Anyone?" The nurse hesitated, glancing down the hallway. "Well, there's been whispers about her parents. They came from a wealthy background, but something terrible happened years ago." "What do you mean?" Gabriel pressed, his mind racing. The nurse lowered her voice. "There's a rumor that Camille was believed to be dead, or rather, she was taken away under suspicious circumstances when she was a child." Gabriel stepped back as if struck by lightning. "Taken? What do you mean?" "It's not just her health that's a concern. There are stories of her family trying to find her. They believe she's alive. They may not even know she's in Paris." Stunned, Gabriel felt the ground shift beneath him. Camille, a beggar, a waitress? Was she really a lost heiress? A daughter of some forgotten fortune? Suddenly, the door to Camille's room swung open. An older man, rugged and disheveled, burst in, his eyes wild. "Camille!" he shouted, collapsing by her bedside, his voice raw. "I've finally found you!" Gabriel froze, confusion ricocheting through his mind. The air thickened as he watched this stranger, the face of desperation, the face of a father. Tears streamed down the man's face, and the sight rattled Gabriel to his core. A father? But how could this be? How many secrets had Camille hidden? As shock rippled through the bustling hospital scene, Gabriel felt the walls closing in, the truth unraveling. This was no longer a simple deal, no longer just a weekend arrangement. It was a tangle of lives, lost and found. Gabriel stood, gripped by the weight of this revelation. He had to find out more about Camille, about her past, about the ties that bound them all together. His heart raced anew with a different kind of urgency. The choices ahead were murky, and the stakes had transformed. Who was he really fighting for? As the man wept beside her, Gabriel could have sworn he saw a glimmer of recognition flash across Camille's face. The darkness that surrounded them all felt heavier than before. Gabriel took a deep breath, prepared to dive into the chaos that now engulfed him, knowing nothing would ever be the same again. Gabriel stood frozen, every muscle tense as he watched the man break down by Camille's bedside. The weight of the room hung heavily around him, each breath an echo of confusion and dread. Who was this man, and what did he mean by finding Camille? Was she real? Rushing forward, he felt the urge to confront this stranger. "Who are you?" The words came out sharper than intended. The old man looked up, grief etched into his face like a road map. "I'm her father!" he cried as if the title alone could explain everything. Gabriel's heart raced. Her father? All this time he had thought Camille was alone, a drifter. The truth shattered his assumptions and replaced them with a weighty silence. He glanced back at Camille, lying so still, her breaths shallow. But what happened to her? Before the man could reply, a sudden commotion erupted in the corridor. Two men in suits rushed in, sharp as knives, followed by a stern-looking woman with an icy stare that could freeze lava. They stormed to the bedside, all frustration and authority. "Step aside!" one of the suited men barked. "We need to speak to Camille." Shocked gasps erupted from the gathered family, concerned, confusion twisting the air thick. Gabriel exchanged looks with the old man. "Who are they?" he asked, anxiety swallowing his voice. The old man's features twisted in anger. "They're the ones who took her away in the first place." He pointed a finger, shaking. "They believe she knows something about our family's fortune that we lost." "What?" Gabriel stammered, feeling the room spin. This was spiraling out of control. At that moment, Camille's eyes fluttered open. She gazed at her father, then slowly turned to the strangers standing around. "What are you doing here?" The rasp in her voice was thick with confusion. "Camille!" The woman stepped forward, her expression softening. "You're safe now. We need to get you home." Home? It hit Gabriel like a slap. What was home to her? Was it this life of hardship, or something richer? Every piece of his carefully controlled universe began to crack. But the father's voice cut through the tension. "How can you just show up after all these years, after losing everything?" His eyes were wild, but filled with a desperate fire. "You thought she was gone!" That's when everything fell apart. The woman spoke, her words slow and deliberate. "We believed she died, but she's not who you think she is." Time froze. "What do you mean?" Gabriel felt his stomach drop. "Camille is not just a waitress. She's the missing heiress of the Langston estate. Her mother. There was a scandal, a betrayal. They faked her death to protect her from the family's enemies. They didn't want her to have a life like this." The air grew heavy, each person processing the implications. Gabriel's mind whirled. Camille wasn't merely a beggar. She was a lost fortune. Panic filled the room as the reality set in. Everyone turned to Camille, but in a moment of clarity, she stood up. The machines beeping furiously behind her, No, you're lying. She took a tremulous step back, refusing to accept this new identity. I'm not that girl anymore. The tension thickened, confusion transforming into anguish. Each pair of eyes held a myriad of emotions: fear, yearning, anger, and desperation. As the hospital bustled on beyond their private storm, Gabriel felt his own heart pounding in sync with the chaos. The more he learned, the more tangled the strands of their lives became. How could he help her navigate this truth? Morrow, the doctor re-entered, concern written all over his face. We need to stabilize her condition. The moment stretched. Camille looked at Gabriel, the pain in her eyes raw and revealing. But something, an undeniable connection, sparked between them. As the rest of the world faded, a question loomed. Would the truth of her past bring them closer or tear them apart? With a final glance at her father, Camille turned away, her breath hitching. "Who am I?" she whispered, shattered yet fierce. And just like that, Gabriel's world blurred anew, with no clear path ahead. All that was certain was that nothing would ever be the same again. Gabriel stood there, the world spinning. Camille's words hung in the air, dense with loss and uncertainty. He could see her father's face, contorted with grief, but nothing connected in his mind. Was she really the missing heiress? This fragmented truth felt unreal. Then the hospital room door burst open again, this time flinging in a woman Gabriel recognized. A family lawyer known for her fierce demeanor. She had been at the board meetings, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to dissect everyone around her. "Camille!" she shouted, urgency lacing her voice. "We need to get you out of here, now!" The air crackled with tension. Camille blinked, confusion painted across her face. "What do you mean? Who are you?" "Your identity is at risk," the lawyer shot back, glancing at the unknown men crowding the room. "There's not much time. Your family is in turmoil. They want you back. But not just that. They want your birthright. It's not safe for you." "What?" Camille gasped, the raw edge of fear creeping into her voice. Gabriel felt his chest tighten. What was this really about? The atmosphere shifted. It was no longer just a hospital room filled with tension. It was the center of a storm. "Your adopted identity," the lawyer said sharply, pulling out a folder filled with papers. "They want to erase that. You're not just missing. There's a claim on your name, your life. You could have everything or nothing." Shock flooded Gabriel's brain. Everything shifted again. He had thought he was helping a stranger, a lost soul, but now he stood beside someone who held wealth, power, legacy. "What do you mean, claim? They want to erase her?" "Yes," the lawyer snapped. "They want to reclaim Camille. They don't care about the life she's built. They'll force her into their world or eradicate it. They believe they need a show of strength. The Langston legacy is worth billions." The father clutched Camille's hand, voice trembling. "No, they can't take her. I lost her once." He looked from the lawyer to Camille, desperation pulling at his edges. In the chaos, something unexpected happened. The suited man who had entered with the lawyer stepped forward, placing a hand onto the bedraggled figure of Camille's father. "Sir, we don't have much time. Make no mistake, we're not here to hurt her. We need to protect her." Protect her? Gabriel's heart raced. He sensed a web of connections, deeply tangled and riddled with betrayal. Protect her from what? He demanded, hope battling with fear. "From people in your family, Mr. Morrow," the lawyer intervened, her voice low and edged with anxiety. "They want her alive, yes, but they want her claimed. There are forces moving, and you're caught in the middle." With that, the air became thick with uncertainty. Camille's gaze slid between them, confusion reigning. Her identity, her life, felt like pieces of a shattered glass forgotten on the sidewalk, glinting only for those willing to look closely. Suddenly, the machines behind Camille emitted a sharp noise. Flashing lights, warning. Nurses rushed in, their faces taut with concern. Panic flooded the room as everyone stepped back, fears shifting from the family turmoil to Camille's precarious health. "Stay back," a nurse ordered as doors slammed and chaos spilled in. Gabriel's stomach dropped, reality snapping into sharp focus. This wasn't just about Camille's family or status anymore. It was about survival. As the noise crescendoed, Gabriel felt a visceral threat in the air. Someone buried the truth deeper. Who was truly in harm's way? But just as Camille's father began shouting desperate pleas for clarity, the hospital lights flickered. The power surged, then died, plunging everything into darkness. In that suffocating blackness, a piercing scream broke through. Gabriel's heart raced. Everything he thought he understood unraveled in that moment. Who was there? Then he heard it, a raspy whisper. "I know where she belongs." And just like that, the story turned once again, leaving him questioning everything. Truth, loyalty, and the very essence of who Camille really was. Gabriel stood there, the air thick with confusion and dread. The hospital's sudden darkness felt like a sign, a warning that something terrible was about to unfold. As voices raced through his mind, another scream pierced the shadow. It was Camille's father, wailing, "No, don't take her!" The room erupted in chaos. Gabriel's heart raced as he caught sight of the suited men scrambling. They had come armed with flashy words of power, but now they seemed vulnerable, frightened. And then, just as the fluorescent lights flickered back to life, illuminating the scene with harsh brightness, there was a crash from down the hall, a loud thud, followed by shouting. Gabriel felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Something was off. "What is happening?" he shouted, his voice chasing the confusion. The lawyer, eyes wide, glanced toward the door. "Stay back!" she yelled, panic twisting her features. "This is bigger than you think." Camille's breaths grew ragged on the hospital bed. The machines beeped erratically, lights flashing in alarming patterns. Gabriel felt his chest tighten. This was not just about family anymore. It felt like a storm was brewing, one that could tear everything apart. Suddenly, the door burst open. A tall figure, dressed in black, with a flash of silver, a badge, stormed in, followed by a group of medical staff who were in full crisis mode. "Get everyone out, now!" the lead officer shouted, voice sharp. Gabriel's stomach twisted. "What the hell is going on?" "Police," the officer snapped, surveying the room. This is a matter of security. What's the threat? Gabriel asked, adrenaline pumping through his veins. But the officer's eyes flicked toward Camille. She's in danger. We have to evacuate. He pointed toward the window. We've received intel that her life is at risk. The reason is shocking. Gabriel's mouth dried as fear gripped him. Camille, lying vulnerable, did not know this. Her father was still shouting about protecting her, but the officer was moving closer. Each step heavy with urgency. What do you know? Gabriel demanded, desperate for answers. There's more to her disappearance than we thought, the officer continued, his voice lowering. Camille wasn't just taken for money or power. She's part of an ongoing investigation. Her biological parents are not who you believe. They were involved in a significant criminal network, and they faked her death to protect her. But it didn't work. Now they want her back. Every word hit like a punch. A criminal network? This was not the twist he had expected. A chilling realization crept over him. Camille wasn't just a lost heir. She was a pawn in a dangerous game. The lawyer's face went pale. We have to move. They'll use her to leverage power. There are factions at play, and you're all in danger now. Danger? Camille's father choked out, his expression morphing from shock to terror. I can't. But before he could finish, the lights flickered wildly again. Sylvan alarms rang out, echoing through the corridor. They were coming. Stay close, the officer yelled, and the chaos accelerated as families and medical staff began to scatter, the room flooding with urgency. Gabriel grabbed Camille's father, impulses surging. We have to get her out of here! Panic washed over him. He turned toward Camille, her gaze vacant, confusion swirling in her eyes. Camille, listen to me. We need to go now. But then he caught a glimpse of something at the door. A shadow creeping in. A face emerging from the blackness. A figure wrapped in dark fabric with fierce eyes. Gabriel's heart felt like it stopped. This was no ordinary threat. Stop right there, the figure growled, their voice laced with menace. And in that moment, every inch of the swelling mystery exploded in his mind. Secrets swirling around them, relationships shifting like sand. Who are you? Gabriel shouted over the cacophony, but the figure simply smiled, a wicked twist of lips that sent shivers racing down his spine. I'm here for Camille, and I've come to collect what's mine. The darkness pressed in around them. Gabriel's breath hitched. Everything was rapidly unraveling, and it felt like they were caught in a cyclone of shock and betrayal. He looked at Camille, fear splintering through him. Who was she really? And how deeply had he gotten into a web that might consume them all? The reality of the night shaped into something far more horrifying than he imagined. And as the figure advanced, he realized the true battle was only just beginning. Gabriel felt time freeze as the figure stepped closer. I'm here for Camille, and I've come to collect what's mine. The tension in the room thickened like a fog. Fear gripped Gabriel's chest. Who was this person? What did they want from her? Just then, Camille's eyes widened. No, she gasped, recognizing the silhouette. You! How, before she could finish, the lights flickered again, casting shadows that seemed to dance menacingly around them. Then came a loud bang from the hallway. a mere prelude to the chaos that followed. A second figure burst through the door, broad, imposing, with a wild look in his eyes. This was no ordinary threat. "Camille, we need to get out!" he shouted, panic lacing his voice. "Who are you?" Gabriel demanded, moving protectively in front of Camille. "Your worst nightmare, Morrow," the newcomer spat. "I'm here to retrieve her." "No!" Camille's father cried, his face pale. "You're lying! You can't have her!" "What's happening?" Gabriel's mind raced, piecing together the puzzle of secrets and lies. "Camille!" The newcomer intruded grimly, marching forward. "You need to understand your power." "Power?" Camille stepped back, confusion marring her features. "What are you talking about?" Then, from the shadows, the first figure laughed. A cold, hollow sound that sent chills down Gabriel's spine. "You didn't tell her, did you? Camille, you're not just some lost heir. You're the key to everything." "What?" Her voice trembled, echoing disbelief. Before she could ask again, the hospital door slammed open and chaos erupted in the hallway. More suited figures filled the space, armed and ready. The air buzzed with fear as staff scrambled, trying to protect patients from the encroaching madness. "Stay clear!" one officer yelled, but all Gabriel could focus on was Camille. She looked back and forth between the figures, her breath quickening. Suddenly, the cold eyes of the figure from the darkness locked onto Camille. "You are the last descendant of the Langston fortune. Your mother left you something they've been hunting for all these years," he said, voice dripping with malice. "The power is in your blood." "Blood?" The word flooded Gabriel with dread. "What are you saying?" she whispered, glancing at Gabriel, pleading for answers. In that charged moment, something snapped within him. "No! You're not taking her!" Gabriel surged forward, driven by the instinct to protect. But the first figure, this man who spoke of power, smirked. "You really think you can protect her? This isn't just about you and her. It's about legacy and greed." "Leave! Now!" the officer shouted, stepping forward. But it was too late. The newcomer raised a hand, and those with weapons shifted restlessly, coiling like snakes ready to strike. "It's already decided," he snarled. "She belongs with us. She'll unravel the truth of her heritage, or perish trying." Just as panic swelled, Camille shrieked. The noise shot through the chaos, piercing through the tension like a knife. "Stay back!" But then, in one horrifying second, everything shifted. The shadows moved, and before anyone could react, a blinding light exploded from Camille's fingertips, illuminating the room. Gasps erupted as she fell to her knees, a glow enveloping her. The machines went wild, alarms screaming, lights flickering faster than they ever had. Gabriel stared, his heart racing. This was no ordinary illumination. It felt otherworldly, powerful. The figures froze, eyes wide, utterly absorbed in her transformation. "We need to stop this," the officer shouted, stumbling back, but Camille looked up, the light swirling like a tempest around her. "I am not afraid," she declared, voice steady, fierce. The world tilted. Everything Gabriel thought he knew shattered into a million pieces. Camille wasn't just a lost girl in a big city. She was something much grander, and dark secrets began seeping into the air. Within the radiant glow, a hidden truth stirred, one that could turn allies to enemies, friends to foes. As Camille's declaration echoed, Gabriel was left wondering, what was she truly capable of? And who would stop at nothing to claim that power for themselves? The room pulsated with the electric energy of the light encasing Camille. Gabriel's heart raced. He wanted to shout for her, to reach her, to somehow help her harness whatever it was that surged within her. But as her glow brightened, so did the tension in the air, thick and overpowering, blending fear with something almost divine. "Camille," he called, but his voice barely scratched through the roaring silence. All eyes were on her. Those shadows loomed like dark figures from a storybook, ready to snatch lives from the pages. And then, the unthinkable happened. Time seemed to stand still. The lights flickered violently, then dimmed, a hint of something breaking through. A memory, a whispered truth. With her next breath, Camille's eyes rolled back and a wave of energy cascaded out, peeling back layers of darkness. The blinding light shifted colors. Deep purples and angry reds swirled like a tempest. Gabriel swayed, caught in the recent upheaval that felt more supernatural by the second. "Camille!" Panic surged through him. He reached out, each step forward seeming to pull him deeper into this madness. But then, with a thunderous crack, the emergency ward door burst open again. This time, it wasn't just the suited men. It was the police storming in, weapons drawn, and voices roaring. "Get on the ground, everyone, now!" Chaos erupted louder than the alarms. Nurses screamed. Patients gasped. Camille's father shouted her name. Gabriel froze for a moment, watching the scene unfold like a horror show. It was all happening too fast, and amidst the shouts and confusion, he saw the figure from the shadows, reaching for Camille, almost as if the light summoned him. "She has to come with me," he shouted, fear and fury vaulting through his voice. "Stay back," the officer yelled. The gun raised, aimed directly at the figure. Tension curled in Gabriel's gut, twisting painfully. This could end badly, very badly. But Camille twitched, her light flaring violently. "No, I won't go back," she screamed. The power surged in her voice, echoing out like a ripple. "I am not your legacy." And just like that, the air split with an explosive shockwave, a force that sent everyone staggering backwards. The officer lost his balance, gun stumbling from his hand and slamming to the ground. A cloud of something filled the room, a blinding fog that obscured everything. Security, screams, lights, chaos, all swallowed whole. In the midst of the chaos, when it cleared, Camille was still standing, but her expression changed. She looked older somehow, wounds flashing across her brow that striped her innocence away. "I didn't want to remember, but I can't run from it anymore." A breath caught in Gabriel's throat. The woman from before, yes, the ruthless lawyer, gasped, "What have you done?" But Camille didn't respond to her. Instead, her eyes locked onto Gabriel with an intensity that shattered the last remnants of clarity he thought he had. "It was all for you, Gabriel. The secrets, the lies. You're not just bull. You're not what you think you are either." "What?" he gasped, the world tilting beneath him. Just then, from the shadows, another, much older presence emerged. A woman with striking eyes, a hint of cold confidence that felt familiar. Camille's mother. "I've come for you, Camille. And now, Gabriel, The truth unfolds. As the weight of reality crashed down, Gabriel felt everything he had known shift violently. The truth? Camille's face twisted in pain. What you think you know isn't it. You're part of this, too. Something inside him snapped. A revelation blooming like weeds in the cracks of marble, suffocating everything in sight. All at once, it became clear. There was nothing pure about this legacy. Nothing to cherish. And as chaos engulfed them in a tempest of rage and confusion, one chilling thought sliced through. They were all connected in a way darker than he could have ever imagined. The blood running through their veins whispered secrets of betrayal that would spill into the light. And nothing would ever be the same again. The room pulsed with tension. Camille's glow illuminating the faces around her. Gabriel's heart hammered wildly in his chest. Everything felt surreal. She was part of something bigger, something dangerous, and their lives hung on the precipice. "Camille!" he shouted, trying to reach past the fear. But the energy around her only grew stronger, swirling and chaotic. The officer shouted louder, demanding order. But his voice barely cut through the commotion. Then there was a sudden crash. The window shattered, glass raining down like deadly confetti. Chaos erupted. Screams filled the air as fear turned to desperate shouting. Gabriel instinctively moved toward Camille, shielding her body with his, as the darkness surged forward. "Get back!" a voice roared from the figure swooping in, and with a jolt, Gabriel recognized one of them, the figure from earlier, that menacing shadow now stepping into the light. The aura surrounding him was charged, eyes glinting with a predatory hunger. In that pandemonium, Camille's mother stepped forward, eyes wide, terror etched into her features. "You shouldn't be here. You don't understand what you're doing." "What are you talking about?" the figure sneered, wicked amusement dancing on his lips. "It's too late. She's already awakened." Camille, lost in the glow, suddenly focused, eyes bright with newfound clarity. "No!" she cried, voice full of strength. "I can't let you control me." And with that, she propelled a wave of energy, pushing everyone back. But the force didn't just scatter the men, it sent a shockwave through the room. Gabriel felt the ground shake beneath him. Camille's energy bursted forth, wild and uncontrolled. Then it happened. An eruption from the back of the crowd. A gunshot rang out, piercing the chaos like a knife. Time slowed in that instant. Gabriel's breath caught as he turned to see everyone snap their heads toward the source of the sound. The officer? Fired? No! Someone else! Everything spun! He felt weightlessness, as if the world had tilted off its axis. And in that moment, Camille's light flickered. She gasped, stumbling back, and horror swept through Gabriel. "Camille!" His voice cracked, panic tearing through him. He lunged forward just as she collapsed, the glow fading like a distant star. "Camille!" Hands grasped at him, pulling him back as the room erupted into chaos again. The suited figures were shouting, frantically scanning the room, but the gunman was now advancing, mask obscuring his face, determined and terrifying. In the chaos and confusion, Camille's father was shouting, "You have to save her! Do something!" But as Gabriel fought against the tide to reach her, everything felt futile. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed from the back. A strange sound, as if the very walls were trembling. It wasn't just the sound of panicked people. It felt larger, darker. Then it broke through. A fissure cracked open in the floor. Smoke curled out, thick and suffocating, engulfing the room. Everyone gasped, backpedaling in horror. As the smoke swirled, a figure emerged. Larger and more menacing than the last, shadowed and monstrous. A creature of unknown origin, eyes burning like molten gold, gazing directly at Camille. "You finally unlocked the essence," it muttered, voice low and rumbling. Gabriel stumbled. The creature wasn't just a mere minion of darkness. It was something far beyond. Something tied to the very core of Camille's existence. What the hell was this? The room felt alive, charged with anticipation and fear. And as Camille lay there, pale and fragile, a truth crashed upon him like icy water. She was the key, not just to her legacy, but to something far darker. The bond they shared, the inexplicable connection. It wasn't merely about love. It was about power, chaos, a force that shouldn't even be tampered with. "Camille!" he shouted, but her eyes remained closed. The creature turned toward him, voice echoing through the chaos. "You will never understand what you've unleashed." Everything shifted, relationships altered. Gabriel's heart sank. This wasn't just about hiding secrets. It was about confronting a darkness that could consume them all. As the smoke folded in on itself, tension coiled tighter. Time slipped away, and he felt reality crack under the pressure. He was standing at the edge, with a revelation that twisted every belief he held about Camille, about their future. And just like that, a new battle began. Not just for her life, but against a darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. Would they survive? Would they find a way back from this? As uncertainty flooded over him, one haunting question remained. What had they truly awakened? The roar of chaos echoed through the room. Gabriel stood frozen, a mix of fear and disbelief churning within him. Camille's glow flickered with each violent pulse of darkness, the tension electrifying the air around them. Then, with a sudden, piercing crack, the ground beneath them shook, the walls rumbling like thunder. Gabriel's heart raced. Everyone's eyes widened in sheer terror. "Get out!" he yelled, but the shockwave thrust everyone back, sending people sprawling, chairs toppling. "Camille!" he cried, but the darkness was all-consuming. It enveloped her, swallowing the light as her scream shattered the air. He fought through the panicked crowd, clawing his way towards her, desperate to reach her before something terrible happened. But just as he closed the distance, time warped once more. The creature that had emerged from the fog, now towering and monstrous, lashed out, its shadowy form surging forward. Gabriel couldn't breathe. This was an entity of nightmares, a predator gripping the very essence of the situation. Then, in an instant, everything changed. "You have been chosen," the creature boomed, its voice reverberating like a deep drum. "The time has come to reunite the fractured lineage." A strange, light-filled portal opened behind Camille, pulling abruptly at her. She was drawn towards it, the power uncontrollable, flaring around her like wildfire. "No!" Gabriel shouted, but his plea was lost among the chaos. That's when it happened. A jolt that shattered perception. The air thickened, and from inside the swirling light, something slipped through. A figure emerging so silently, the world seemed to hush, as if holding its breath. It was an older woman, her face familiar. Gabriel's heart sank as recognition hit him hard. It was her, Camille's mother, the one believed to be dead. Her eyes glimmered with purpose. She stepped into the fray with grace, holding a shimmering object in her hand, catching the light like diamonds. "Camille, you're more than just a lost heir," she declared, voice fierce. "You are the last keeper of our legacy. It's time to reclaim what was taken from us." Gasps filled the room. Every head turned, shock freezing them all. Gabriel's mind raced with questions. "What are you saying?" The words burst from him before he could stop himself. Just then, she thrust the object towards Camille. The instant it made contact, an explosion of light erupted, blinding everyone in the room. Gabriel shielded his eyes, heart pounding. When the brilliance receded, Camille was no longer there. In her place stood something else entirely, a being of pure light, shimmering and vibrating with energy. Gabriel staggered back, stomach twisting. This was no longer the girl he had met. The warmth from her presence radiated, but it felt alien. "Camille!" he croaked, panic rising, tearing at his chest. But this wasn't her. From the other side of the room, shadows lunged toward the light, howling in fury. The creature roared, "You cannot take her. She is ours." But the radiant figure arched upward, illuminating the darkness. "No, I belong to no one." Camille's voice rang out, a powerful proclamation that ricocheted through the dust and chaos. In that heartbeat, Gabriel grasped the gravity of this transformation. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a reckoning of identities, of truths hidden away. As the chaos swirled around them, flickering light fighting against dark, Gabriel felt a visceral connection tugging within him. The illusions layered over reality were beginning to tear away. The girl he thought he knew had become the embodiment of something far greater. But then everything shifted once more. A sharp crack split through the air as the portal behind Camille's mother flickered violently. It let out a deafening screech that blended with the hearts of everyone present. As Gabriel watched, frozen, the light began to break. Camille's figure stuttered, her face twisting in anguish, as if fighting an internal battle far beyond comprehension. "Help me! I can't hold it! Ah!" Then everything exploded into a heartbeat of chaos, light giving way to darkness once more. Gabriel's feet felt glued to the floor as uncertainty swirled. What was real anymore? Who was Camille? But now, deeper truths lay buried, and secrets threatened to surface, erupting in a blaze of questions that would change everything. He had to dig deep. There were answers within this madness. There was no going back. The stakes had never been higher, the web of lies threatening to collapse. Each revelation brought chills. He could only wonder what else awaited them in the shadows. The room shuddered, a heart-wrenching quake, as Camille stood glowing, fear and power entwined around her. Gabriel fought through the chaos, his chest tight with panic. He couldn't lose her. Not now, not like this. "Camille!" he shouted, desperation licking at the edges of his voice. He felt the darkness pulling at him, shadows closing in, hoarding her light like a hungry monster. "Stay back!" Camille's mother cried, gripping the shimmering object tightly. "It's not just about power, it's about protecting her." The weight of the world pressed down. The figures around them surged forward, eyes wild, desperate. "You can't protect her from her destiny," the dark figure shouted. But Camille's glow flared brighter, cutting through the darkness like a beacon. "My destiny is mine to choose, not yours." Her voice reverberated, strong yet strained, echoing against the walls painted in chaos. With every ounce of will, she wove the energy around her, mixing determination with fear. A deep rumble vibrated through the ground. Gabriel's heart raced as treacherous emotions twisted around him. The creature snarled, a twisted smile creeping across its face. "You think you can fight this? You're merely a girl, an unpolished reflection of what you could be." "No, I am more than what you say." Camille's voice sliced through the shadows, a defiant roar that sent chills through Gabriel. Suddenly, the air split with a ferocious sound, a crack that echoed like thunder. The portal behind her mother pulsated, the light flickering as if sensing a tremendous shift. "Camille!" He lunged, reaching out as she began to tremble. With each moment, it felt like time hung in a delicate balance. "Listen to me!" Camille cried, eyes fierce, yet vulnerable. "This is not just about family. It's about freedom!" Then it erupted, colorful sparks dancing through the darkness. Waves of energy radiated from her, breaking through, illuminating the faces frozen in horror. And at that moment, everything shifted. The darkness recoiled, shadows retreating, as Camille's energy swept through. "Gabriel!" she called, glowing radiantly. "You're with me. We'll face this together." His heart burst with optimism, clarity fueling his resolve. "I'm right here," he managed, voice thick with emotion. In unison, they stood, the light against the dark. The creature screamed, twisting in fury, as the pulsating energy enveloped it, sinking into a void it could never escape. The walls trembled, shaking off shadows, the room glowing brighter. "It's time to be free," Camille vowed, strength radiating from her. Gabriel could feel it too, a rush of clarity ripple through his veins, as if every truth was laid bare before him. With a final flash of brilliance, the creature let out one last howling wail before disappearing into nothingness. Silence enveloped them. The glow around Camille faded, revealing her standing there, breathing heavily but whole. "What? What just happened?" she whispered, hands shaking at her sides. Gabriel rushed to her, enveloping her in his arms, relief flooding over him. "You did it! We did it! I fought back," she breathed, eyes shimmering with tears. "You believed in me." "Yes," he murmured, clutching her tighter. "You found your path. You're not just a lost heir. You've become something far greater." From the periphery, Camille's mother wept tears of joy and regret alike. "We can't change the past, but we'll face the future together," she said, voice breaking. But as they embraced this fragile moment, a slow rumble began beneath their feet again. Gabriel's stomach dropped. "What's happening? We may have shut the door, but it's not over," Camille's mother whispered, her expression turning serious. "There are others who will come for you. As the faces around them turned solemn, Gabriel's heart sank. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. With his arm around Camille, they faced the uncertainty ahead, breathing in the crisp air of newfound resilience. But deep within, a question lingered. Echoing through the silence, what darkness awaited them next? Oh, and before you go, you must subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss out on the next amazing adventure. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us keep creating these stories. Flood the comment section with all your reactions and theories about this finale. Let's hear your thoughts. And don't wait 1 second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this ending. Your support makes all the difference.